Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Great to have you here. Hello, Maverick family. Oh, boy. Day after Carney meets with Trump at the White House, we get the expected exchanges, the commentaries, the fallout, the sparring in question period. We'll bring you some of that tonight. But of course, Trump dominating the news cycle again today with this Antifa roundtable that he hosted. We'll highlight that as well. This is an organization that for a long time has been very active in the streets. I've described them as sort of I say that, you know, their tactics are very fascistic, especially for an anti-fascist organization. I have never been a big fan of Antifa, an organization that was supposed to be not even an organization, according to its supporters, not even a real thing. But now Trump is designating them as a terrorist organization. So the pendulum has swung all the way over to the other extreme. We'll highlight this whole thing tonight. What else do we have for you? Well, all that's going on. Oh, yeah. Urgency beginning to set in to some degree on Canada's final decision on whether it should complete the rest of the F-35 fighter jet deal. And the hidden plan for Palestine, Trump's hidden plan for Palestine. I wrote a Substack today, subbed that out, dealing with that, because it all ties into something that Ian, our contributor, Dragon, as many of you know him, kind of drew my attention to again. I was thinking about it, and I'm going to write an updated Substack on that specific subject. Thank you, Ian, for just making me think about it. We'll maybe have a broader conversation about that another night. But this whole thing in Palestine, when you sit back and take a look at it, it ties into technocracy, the ideology of technocracy, the plan by the elites, if you will, to create a new world order from the new world order that was created before, well, certainly after World War II. So it's underway, and we'll get underway with our examination of today's top news stories when we return right after this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, yesterday, Carney, Trump meet. We ran really the full meet the media Q&A. I called them scrums. We always called them scrums back in the day when I was still doing the TV thing. Sometimes they called them gaggles, whatever you want to call them. It was all the media in the Oval Office and asking questions of Trump and Carney yesterday. So we carried all of that. And the media today, I think the Toronto Sun was like, what was their headline? Let me just pull that up because people were saying, well, Polyev the day before was saying, can Carney promise to bring home a win from this meeting? Let's see if I can find it. I'm just trying to remember the, here it is. Mr. Carney went to Washington. What did he get? Nothing. I think it was zilch. That's what they put on the cover of the Toronto Sun today. Zilch. Came back with zilch. Of course, the Sun, conservative, just conservative. I was going to say conservative leaning, but they're pretty much, yeah, conservative. Brian Lilly Carney's meeting to Washington with Trump leaves him with nothing. Yeah. So he says Mark Carney clearly hasn't, this is Brian Lilly, hasn't learned one of the key rules of politics, and someone on his team should teach him soon. You need to undersell and over-deliver. Doing the opposite when you promise more than you can deliver is a recipe for disaster. Last week, Carney's office leaked to CTV that they were cautiously optimistic about getting movement on steel and aluminum tariffs. Carney didn't speak to the media after leaving the White House on Tuesday. He left that up to his deputy on the cross-border file. Standing atop the roof of the Canadian Embassy in Washington with the American Capitol building behind him, Dominic LeBlanc tried to put the best spin on things. I didn't run the stuff with LeBlanc yesterday because we had all this stuff with Carney and Trump. Quote from LeBlanc, we talked about the importance of reaching an agreement soon and quickly on steel, aluminum, and energy matters. And with the United States, we concluded the discussion with Mr. Trump and Mr. Carney with the instruction to continue our work, and the discussions will continue. Yeah. Carney may have been a little too premature in making any kind of promise with regard to coming away with anything yesterday. I didn't expect him to come away with anything at all. Yesterday, the negotiations are still ongoing. Let's just listen to what clip they picked from yesterday's meeting. Oh, yeah.
Say it.
Is there anything that the Prime Minister has done that's making it more difficult or easier to reach a deal?
No, I think he's a great Prime Minister. I mean, he could represent me anytime. I will tell you, I'm not saying that because he is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he could be nasty. He could be very nasty, maybe as nasty as anybody. I think Canada, let me put it this way, I can tell you this because I deal with lots of leaders all over the world. He is a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants, and I'm not surprised to see that he won the election and won it substantially, and I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator.
So then what's holding things up? If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. That could have been. I think you got that one. That could have been. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so always laugh at the joke, especially if you need a trade deal. It doesn't matter if it's funny; it's always hilarious. And that's what Carney was doing yesterday. He was just sitting there, nodding, agreeing. It didn't matter what was said. He's just like, yes, that's right, Mr. President, that's right. Pushing back only on one small thing yesterday, which was the fentanyl, which is, Trump started to talk about the fentanyl, but Carney played it perfectly. He agreed there's a problem, but then said, but we have it down now to less than 1%. And we're doing making progress. And then Trump comes in because he doesn't disagree. He agrees and then proceeds forward with an acknowledgement, but framing it within the Canadian perspective or his perspective, which is to say that it's less than 1% of the total problem, but any fentanyl is bad. And so, of course, we're doing everything we can working with you. It was perfect language. I mean, it was very diplomatic. Even the Premier of Alberta today praising Carney, actually saying that he was speaking Donald Trump's love language. That's why a lot of the media yesterday, there was a variety of reactions, but I did key in, as you may have noticed last night, on the bromance atmosphere that was present yesterday. These two guys, getting along. Carney slapping his knee when the joke is told and just nodding, going along, and you just don't know what he's really thinking, and wisely just keeping his mouth shut. So that is the strategy, I think, because Trump is so incredibly powerful, and he is the president of Godzilla, and he's right next door. So he played it smart and safe. The result, though, still no deal. No big surprise to me. Fair enough. He said that he was going to try to get something, but didn't. No surprise, but the media on the conservative side saying, he came away with nothing. True. Maybe. We're not really hearing what's going on behind closed doors. We have seen, though, that, while Carney did not speak to media yesterday right after, which again, I honestly think that's wise. Just keep your mouth shut. Say as little as you need to, because you say one wrong thing and you can piss the Trumpster off. So just shut up and don't negotiate in public. Keep whatever cards you may have. Play your cards carefully. Keep them close to your chest. Don't reveal what's up your sleeve. Here he is today, though, commenting very briefly, along with some other MPs, after it was revealed that in the meeting with Trump, it may have come up that they were talking about reviving the Keystone XL pipeline.
But you guys were so excited there. I've never seen a group of Canadian journalists' faces light up. You're in the Oval Office. You're going to ask the president a big question.
Let me see you.
You're just like, you were not. You're never. When you look at me, you're just like, the president's there. It's all great.
What about the pipeline?
Good discussion.
Je vais laisser au premier ministre le soin de révéler ce qu'il veut ou ce qu'il ne veut pas par rapport aux conversations qu'il y a avec le président.
La rencontre d'hier, c'était une bonne rencontre selon vous? Est-ce qu'il est bien fait?
Et moi, je pense que tout le monde comprend que c'est compliqué.
Renégocier
ces accords commerciaux-là. Ce qu'on a vu hier, c'est un président américain très respectueux du premier ministre qui a même complimenté à plusieurs reprises. Alors, je pense qu'il y a une bonne relation, ce qui est le fondement d'arriver à pouvoir avoir une bonne entente commerciale. Merci.
Non, je me demandais parce on semble ramener Keystone XL.
Let's get something English.
Depuis au pouvoir et là ils sont...
Give me something English, anglais, please.
Keystone conversation coming back into play.
I haven't heard it coming back into play.
Okay.
McKinnon sur vos demandes sur les chauffeurs à rabais, puis lui semble...
Franchement, non, c'est vraiment pas une réponse, en fait. C'est triste, en fait, de voir un gouvernement qui décide parce qu'il y a des problèmes...
Let's get him.
Are welcoming the renewed interest in Keystone from U.S. President Donald Trump. We should point out that this should be very low-hanging fruit. Keystone was something that the previous Conservative government approved way back in 2010. In fact, it was one of Donald Trump's first actions in his first term was to sign the executive order supporting Keystone XL. So it's no surprise that he has brought this back up at this point in time. And while Keystone XL would, of course, be a benefit to Canada, it was Liberal inaction that allowed a previous president to kill Keystone XL. And remember, Mark Carney cheered on Justin Trudeau as Justin Trudeau was cancelling pipelines here at home. Getting Keystone XL built is one part of the problem, but a production cap preventing new oil and gas development here in Canada won't do us any good. It doesn't matter if you can build a pipeline, put it in the ground, if you can't put anything through it. In addition, this pipeline does not truly solve Canada's sovereignty problem. Under the Liberals, Canada has become even more dependent on the U.S., and while this pipeline would provide benefits to Canada, it still means that we're selling our energy to the U.S. And that's why Conservatives renew our call to truly get the government out of the way of the energy sector. We're calling on the government to lift the production cap on Canadian oil and gas, eliminate the shipping ban, which solely applies to Canadian energy shipments off the West Coast. Conservatives believe in a country where Canada can be self-sufficient when it comes to energy. That's why we support a west-to-east pipeline to displace foreign oil coming into eastern refineries. That's why we support a pipeline to take central and western Canadian energy to our BC shores. Mark Carney has explained what he's going to do with the problem right now of getting that pipeline built to our western shores. A pipeline to the West Coast would open up Asian markets, countries in Asia that are pleading with us to sell them our energy. None of that is solved by the current Liberal leave-it-in-the-ground approach. So once again, we're welcoming this renewed interest, pointing out the fact that this has long been something that President Trump has supported, and Mark Carney can't really claim credit for that because it was his government that stood in the way of so many pipelines and did nothing to champion Keystone XL during the previous administration in the United States. So happy to take your questions on that, but that's what I want to come.
C'est un premier pas encourageant pour vous, donc, Monsieur Scheer, que ça fasse partie des négociations.
Il n'y a pas des négociations.
We will. We got it. We got that. We have Andrew. Okay. Then in the House of Commons, of course, as Carney returns for question period, he is immediately put on the hot seat by Pierre Poilievre over his meeting yesterday with the president. Here's the exchange.
Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, now we know why President Trump wanted this Prime Minister to win so much, so he would be against a weak leader whose tax and anti-development policies are driving billions of dollars in jobs to the United States. Yesterday, the Prime Minister promised President Trump $1 trillion of investment in the coming years if we get the deal we want. That is investment that will leave Canada, driving mines and paper mills and factories out of Canada, leaving families without work. Why didn't the Prime Minister negotiate an end to the softwood lumber tariffs instead of offering this gift? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Things aren't getting off to an auspicious start today. Okay, the Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, this is another moment to give a little economic lesson to the Leader of the Opposition. The Canadian and American economies are closely aligned, and I gave such a lesson to the President of the U.S. yesterday. I said that what is at risk is Canadian investment into the United States if we do not get a real detail. We will get a deal, however, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he could certainly give lessons on driving investment out of Canada and into the United States, because he has already managed to drive $54 billion worth of investment into the United States. This killed 86,000 jobs. Households are suffering from this. People are sitting around the dinner table wondering how they are going to pay their bills. And since this Prime Minister took power, American softwood lumber tariffs have doubled. Here's the question. After giving the Americans a $54 billion gift, has he negotiated an end to the softwood lumber tariffs? Yes or no? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the current situation is as follows. We have the best agreement with the Americans in the world. We are still negotiating further gains in major sectors, including softwood lumber, and we will only accept the best deal on softwood lumber.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, we now know why the U.S. President wanted this Prime Minister in power so badly, a weak leader whose high taxes and anti-development laws are sending billions of dollars and thousands of jobs out of this country. 86,000 jobs lost. And yesterday, the Prime Minister promised the President that he would increase Canadian investment in the U.S. by $1 trillion if he gets the agreement that he expects to get. Mr. Speaker, in exchange for $1 trillion of job losses in Canada, will he at least get an end to the U.S. auto tariffs that are killing jobs for our workers in Ontario?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we have the best deal in the world with the Americans. First point. Second point, the President of the United States and myself had a meeting of minds yesterday with respect to the future of the steel sector, the aluminum sector, the energy sector in cooperation, which is why our teams are negotiating the terms of those deals. And we are working, as the President himself said in the Oval Office, on the modalities of an auto agreement.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he just confirmed he's selling out our auto workers. And let me tell him what it means when investment leaves this country, because he was forced a record amount out in his 7 months in power. The 700 workers at the GM plant who lost their jobs in Oshawa, they can tell him about investment that is left. They're sitting around the dinner table wondering how they're going to pay their bills while GM announces $4 billion of new investment south of the border. So while the Prime Minister promises yet another $1 trillion gift to President Trump, why doesn't he look them at those workers in the eye and explain to them why he betrayed them?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what this government is doing for the auto sector is an unprecedented investment in the Canadian auto sector. We look the Canadian auto workers in the eye. We have $5 billion in the Strategic Response Fund. We have $10 billion for liquidity management. We have worker retraining. We are striking deals with countries around the world. We have the best deal already with the Americans, and it will be even better.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we'll go soft on him today because I know he's still recovering from surgery to have his elbows removed. Remember that promise, Mr. Speaker? Dancing around with his elbows in the air. We haven't seen those elbows since the election, after which $54 billion of investment gone to the United States. 86,000 jobs gone. American tariffs on Canada doubled. And as to the best deal in the world, Why is it then we have the best deal that Canada has the fastest shrinking economy in the G7 and 86,000 people are without a job?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Okay. All right. Mr. Speaker, there are three things that are true. First is, I realized long before the Leader of the Opposition, long before the last election, you remember the last election? Long before the last election, that our relationship with the United States would never again be what it was. Secondly, thing that is true is we have the best deal with the Americans. And the third thing that's true is we will get an even better deal because we
remember the last election where that Prime Minister promised to put elbows up. It was not a promise, it was the promise that he ran on. Now those elbows have come down, the American tariffs have doubled, we have by far the weakest economy in the G7, 86,000 people have lost their jobs, and the Prime Minister went pathetically to the White House to offer a $1 trillion gift, bowing before the President in weakness. $1 trillion, Mr. Speaker. Speaking of the last election, where in his platform did he promise to give $1 trillion of our investment dollars to the Americans?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to inform the Leader of the Opposition that there is a thing called the private sector. The private sector makes decisions about investment.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. This will be a long one. It's going to be a long day. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly.
What's he gonna say?
The Prime Minister seems to have received some mockery. I guess the bar is very low. All he had to do was not fall on his face in front of the U.S. president in the entire world. So I guess he did that. He said that he was a strong leader. That's great. But the Prime Minister ought to gain more and talk less. Is the Prime Minister truly content with a few nice words from the U.S. president instead of a trade agreement? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I am happy that the U.S. president and I had a meeting of the minds about a deal for the steel, aluminum, and energy sectors. That is why our teams are working on just such a deal as we speak. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. But that's not what we heard about during the campaign. It was supposed to be better than that. The truth is the Prime Minister came back empty-handed with nothing at all. Zero. Zilch. Yet there are new tariffs on trucks and increased tariffs on softwood lumber. The great negotiator is again coming back into the country, the tail between his legs. When will he stun us? When will he impress us? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, once again, on July 31st, the President of the United States himself signed the best deal in the world between the U.S. and Canada. It keeps 85% of our trade free of tariffs, but we are working harder to get a deal for the steel, aluminum, and softwood lumber sectors. The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. His best deal in the world is not really working for the forestry sector nor for the aluminum sector. More pretty words. All he cares about is compliments. Jean de La Fontaine wrote about the fable of the fox and the crow. Skewering the Prime Minister's view of flattery. Does the Prime Minister really believe that Quebecers will content themselves with the words from the wicked fox? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. As we speak, our team, including the Minister of International Trade, are negotiating on behalf of the aluminum sector. This is not just words. There are numbers here too, and we will get a deal.
Speaker, the Prime Minister assured Canadians that he would secure a victory, and there is none. The tariffs that he said he would get rid of have actually doubled. And now he's promising to ship $1 trillion of investment to the U.S. with nothing in return. That's not a strategy. It's a clearance sale on Canadian jobs. Paper mills from BC closing while Washington State cuts the ribbon. Factories in Ontario going dark while Michigan lights up. Why did the Prime Minister trade away Canadian paychecks for an applause line in Washington?
Yeah! Oh, come on, Mark. The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
On the contrary, the Prime Minister is focused on protecting jobs and businesses. Right. First, stabilizing supply chains through initiatives like our Strategic Response Fund, Mr. Speaker, including on steel, aluminum, manufacturing, auto, and agriculture, continuing to build supply chains while maintaining a strong domestic economy, the lowest net debt to GDP ratio in the G7, Mr. Speaker, while negotiating a strong bilateral relationship and diversifying our supply chains. We will build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
With that kind of answer, if you measure your wealth by a stock index, that's your guy. But if it comes from a paycheck, you are his sacrifice. Canadians trusted the Prime Minister to fight for their jobs and to fight for their paychecks. And months after he vowed to get a deal, there still is none. There's 86,000 less Canadians working. He doubled the deficit at home, $54 billion of investment that fled south with the promise to make it $1 trillion. In what world is $1 trillion gift to Donald Trump considered a win?
Yeah! The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, businesses from all over the world are choosing Canada. That is why, once again, we are ranked as one of the best countries in the G20 for doing business. We are deepening our partnerships in Europe, in the Indo-Pacific, and in Africa to create opportunities here at home. And that's why we've just signed a historic deal with Indonesia to create jobs, to diversify supply chains. Mr. Speaker, these are more than just agreements. They are the resilience of Canada's economic future, Mr. Speaker. We will build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Well, it's a good thing you don't need elbows to come home empty-handed. Yesterday, we found out why Donald Trump wanted this guy to be Prime Minister so badly. It's because Trump knew he would get everything he wanted with this Prime Minister. In addition to keeping all the Trudeau-era policies that are already chasing away jobs and investments, this Prime Minister decided to offer $1 trillion gift of Canadian investment dollars flowing to the U.S. That means mines built in the U.S., factories built in the U.S., sawmills built in the U.S., all with Canadian investment dollars. So simple question, in exchange for this generous sacrifice, did the Prime Minister get an end to all U.S. tariffs once and for all?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
We will take no lesson from the Conservatives. No lessons from the Conservative. On this side of the aisle, and all Canadians, we believe in this country, Mr. Speaker. Canada is the place where we attract talent. Canada is the place where we build ships, we build cars, we build planes. Canada is the place where we have critical minerals. Canada is the place where we have energy. Canada is the only country in the G7 with a free trade with all other G7 sovereign nation, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build Canada strong. We are the true north, strong and free, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Believe in Canada? This Liberal Prime Minister won't even pay taxes in Canada, Mr. Speaker. Once those investment dollars go to the U.S., they don't come back. Just look at TC Energy. That used to be called TransCanada Energy until they had to drop the word Canada because they can't get anything built in this country. They just put $8.5 billion to work in the U.S. The Prime Minister said during the election, anyone who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him. Yesterday, he knelt there like a pylon while the president skated all around him. Did he get an end to U.S. tariffs in return?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I have even more good news for the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. On November 4th, we will be presenting a budget with generational investment, Mr. Speaker, that is going to make Canada the strongest economy in the G7. We will invest in our people. We're going to build this country. We're going to empower Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build Canada strong, and we're going to do it with all Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Oxford.
The Liberal Prime Minister promised to fight for our workers, but under his watch, Canada has lost over 86,000 jobs. We have the fastest shrinking economy and the second highest unemployment rate in the G7. The Liberal decision to buy American to appease Trump has cost Cami over 900 jobs in my riding. The Liberal Prime Minister continues to sell out our workers. He's handing over their jobs to the United States and is driving $1 trillion of investment down south. Why?
Yeah!
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Listen, Mr. Speaker, over a decade, Canadians...
I'm trying to listen. I'm trying. The Honourable Minister.
Didn't you fire your...
For decades, Mr. Speaker, Canadians have watched as Conservatives have fought against their interests. Not just voted against their interests, Mr. Speaker, but actively worked to fight against their families' prosperity. Whether it's beating back unionization, whether it's voting against school nutrition programs, whether it's fighting against Canada Child Benefit, Mr. Speaker, Canadians know who has their back, and it sure isn't the Conservative Party.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lotbinière. The Liberals don't want to talk about the trillion dollars of investment. That is the amount that the Prime Minister promised President Trump over the next 5 years. What did the Prime Minister get in return for this promise? A free lunch at the White House. That's it, Mr. Speaker. That's the only result. Our workers are losing their jobs because businesses will be moving to the United States. Mills and sawmills will be closing their doors in Canada and reopening down south. Is that what the Prime Minister promised to Canadians? A lunch at the White House? The Honourable Minister of Trade. Another little lesson for the Conservatives. We have investors in Canada that invest all over the world. For example, the Caisse de dépôt et de placement. The proceeds come back to Canada, where they are given over to our nurses and doctors and firefighters. Everyone benefits. Canadian investment abroad is a good thing for Canada. It is a tool that we can use to build Canada strong. And that is exactly what we are doing with our workers. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lotbinière.
Okay, that's enough. I'm bringing this up because I asked one of the artificial intelligence programs to generate an image of Mark Carney with no elbows. It really couldn't do it. He was like so confused. Like, what are you talking about? Why would this human being have no elbows? I said, elbows removed. Artificial intelligence couldn't figure it out. This is what it generated. Like it generates a giant head with tiny little arms and tiny little hands and no legs or waist, nothing, no torso at all. It's just it's the strangest thing. What an aberration that is. Look at this guy. It's so unreal that it's hilarious. But after listening to what we said in the White House yesterday, listening to the circus there, it's just it's fitting. It's entirely appropriate because yesterday Trump makes stuff up. The numbers, the stats, even the fentanyl thing. If he's not making stuff up, it's of course an exaggeration. It's all part of a process. It's it's and what do they call it? Narrative planting. It's part of the information war, an information war strategy. Narrative planting. So they'll use like a journalist that they pay off. Any government will do this. U.S. government does it a lot, especially right now. So they'll pay an influencer to plant a story. It's usually a story with some truth in it, but it's, in Trump world, the new Trump world, it's exaggerated immensely so that it manufactures a crisis. The fentanyl thing is one. The dangers of the Chinese in Canada. That's, I think, another one, because I've found so many lies and untruths in some of the reporting that has been done there. Like just blatant. If you go looking for it, it's easy to get caught up in it because the lying is pretty effective, because it's all wrapped around a kernel of truth so that it has credibility at the center of it, but then the lies are all spun up around. So Carney was sitting there, case in point, the $17 trillion of investment that Trump says he has secured because of the tariffs. Like, there's no way. It just statistically, it's not possible. If you go looking for the information, it just isn't. It's just not plausible. There are a bunch of key lies that Trump has told, continues to tell. What are some of the other ones? I was doing a search here earlier today. Yeah, even these casualty figures from the Ukraine-Russia war, they tend to be exaggerated as well. It's bad. It's really bad. He isn't the only one spinning up that narrative, but it isn't like 7,000 a week. It's probably half that, or maybe even less. The intelligence sources that I've come across anyway, most recently, indicate about 1,000 to 2,000, not 7,000. So it's still horrific. It's terrible, but it's just he's just, everything is extreme. It's always the very best of something and or the very worst. When Biden was in office, the number of illegal border crossings with illegal immigrants, the worst ever recorded. And then when he comes in, almost immediately, it's gone to zero. The best ever. So you see how it works. And that is also what's going on in Venezuela right now. Oh, let me just check that for you too. I know that there were some lawyers who were saying I don't want to speak out of turn, so I want to make sure that I get this. There was a group of lawyers. I think they're from New York, Boston area. I just heard about it. I haven't seen the stories. I'll try to find it before the end of the broadcast. Anyway, they're using the word murdered. They're saying that the president and the U.S. military acting improperly and actually maybe even criminally by attacking those Venezuelan boats in the way they are doing it. And in fact, the truth is, we have seen no actual proof of anything, but it's all being justified with a phrase, narco terrorists. This is a new thing. This is being justified with the drug dealing, drug cartel pretext. How truly serious is it? You have to sort of just accept what they're saying, because they are the source of the information, the U.S. government. And when they say it, it holds a lot of weight. This is how a lot of information warfare works too, especially when you're trying to justify a war. When the government says it, they have methods to inject it into the information sphere, into the ecosystem, have it repeated over and over and over again, and have even a piece of information or an outright lie become the truth in people's minds. And if you believe something to be true, then to you it is true. And then they can act on that, and you'll even support it. Whatever it is that they want you to support, because they've basically brainwashed you or me or all of us with information that may or may not be true. It's scary when you see it happening in real time. And then it's perpetuated, amplified when you have the Prime Minister of Canada sitting next to the president and pretty much just letting him say whatever he wants, having it go unchallenged, and sometimes not nodding in agreement, but just sitting there, not disagreeing. That also gives it credibility, because he's not getting pushback. But of course, who's going to push back when you need a trade deal? There's so much at stake. You're not going to challenge the president in the Oval Office, in his home, and say, oh, no, you're wrong on that. No, you're wrong on that. No, you're wrong on that. No, you just go along to get along in order to get what you want, which is your deal. But the price you pay is an erosion of reality and reinforcement of a lie, and therein lies slavery. It's all part of an Orwellian reality that is and strategy that you can see in play if you choose to see it. Right now with the Trump administration, Trump, MAGA, this whole administration, it's all about manufactured reality, a manufactured reality. There's so much lying going on. And it's why you see so much division too, because half the people buy into it. The other half of the people think that whatever he's saying is a lie. It becomes very polarizing. And I've just given you a couple of examples, but there's so many of them. It's, in my view, very dangerous. And it's going to tie into my commentary at the end of the broadcast with regard to what is going on in Palestine, the Middle East. It's all about what you think is real, and also a real, the attempts, the ongoing efforts to hide the true agenda on things. Stay with me. We'll be right back after this.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Custom shelves for your books or your tech. Cozy space for your treasures to protect. Built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day.
Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations, proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
Who wants to see AI Carney again? I do. Here he is. That's hilarious. That's too much, man. I think that's just the best. Oh man. That's funny. I think that's funny. Oh man. That's good. Oh. Yeah. Here. Oh God. I think it's funny. This article related to everything we've just been talking about, sent to me today. I'll just take a look here. This is in TWZ. Depends on which country you're in. I'm still a Kazakhstanian, so I'm a Z kind of guy. Time running out for Canada's fighter decision. I will show you the headline. Canada's taken, I don't know, like 30 years or something to make a final decision on which fighter jets to buy. It's been going on for freaking decades because it's so expensive and nobody really wants to spend the money. And then we get a change of government and then they move on to the next thing. Well, now it's in limbo again. I think we've got 16 jets that we've committed to buying out of, I think, a total of 88, something like that. And then and now it's maybe on hold. Well, it's sort of being reviewed again. Anyway, this article, time running out for Canada's fighter decision. Officially, at least, Canada is still considering whether to buy more F-35s, but arguments for a mixed fighter fleet are becoming harder to justify. This is by Thomas Newdick. Okay, at TWZ. It's an American publication. Oh, look at there's an American flag there on the dashboard of the F-35. See that? That's interesting. Canada is still in the process of reviewing its future fighter fleet. Officials have confirmed, however, with a firm commitment to buy 16, that's right, F-35As, it's looking increasingly difficult to make the case for Ottawa switching to a different manufacturer to complete the full replacement of its aging CF-18 Hornets. Canada currently has around 75 CF-18A B plus jets and also has added 18 former Royal Australian Air Force FA-18A and Bs, plus seven more spares to help bolster its fleet. Speaking in front of a House of Commons Accounts Committee yesterday, Canada's Deputy Minister of Defence, Stefanie Beck, said that it was full steam ahead for the country's F-35 program. Says here, what we have is a direction, this is a quote, to continue with the contract with the arrangements that we have in place until we hear otherwise. She added that the Canadian Ministry of Defence was focused on making sure we've got the infrastructure, the pilots, the training in place for the arrival of those F-35s. So I think behind the scenes, it is still pushing forward. Carney on the public side, the front-facing public relations side, the negotiating side, he's holding this up as a sort of a bargaining chip, a card, if you will, saying, I don't know, Mr. Trump, you better give us a deal, or maybe we'll just nix the rest of this F-35 deal and we'll buy the Gripen from Saab, or actually it's Sweden, yeah, Saab, and they have, those things have Volvo engines in them, I think. And then, yeah, back in 2023, the Liberal government announced plans to buy 88 F-35s, a decision that appeared to bring closure to what had already been a very protracted process. They have all the history over here. Yeah, going back, painfully drawn out process. Yeah, they were going to, yeah, this is the other article that I'm reading from. In what the government heralds as the most significant investment in the Royal Canadian Air Force in more than 30 years, going to buy 88 of these things. So it's big, 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 big money. And it has already ballooned, I think, the total price tag on this thing. I think what they were going to spend something like $19 billion. It's up to now $27.7 billion. We don't even have the arms purchased for them, the weaponry and stuff. So it's just crazy. The Gripen, much less expensive to operate. A lot of pluses there, but I don't think the jets are as. I think in a head-to-head fight, the F-35 would probably beat the Gripen, but the Gripen is more versatile, can land on roads, and we'll maybe get into the particulars on that. We'll get somebody in here who can talk to us more about it. Maybe we'll get Mike McCarrick to come back and talk about it more, or somebody else to give us more background on all of this. But this is the thing, and as all of this is playing out, the one thing that I could, I would, if I were the prime minister and they took that auto industry away down in the States and they were successful in having our auto industry relocate entirely to the U.S., I would be saying, we'll fill those plants with Gripen production. We'll just cancel the rest of that order and bring in production, because that's one of the most enticing aspects of the Gripen proposal, is that they will build those jets in Canada. So I could see that potentially happening. And that's an important bargaining chip, because what happened today, one day after we saw the prime minister meet with the president, along with their teams. On one side, you had, I think LeBlanc was there. You had Anita Anand, a few others. On the other side, you had, I know Lutnick was there. And then today, Lutnick comes out with this. He's saying, even though Trump and Carney were talking about the auto industry, and the language was much more, was friendlier than we've seen or heard since the beginning of this whole disastrous, unnecessary exercise. He comes out today and says this: Lutnick dismisses any prospect of auto deal between U.S. and Canada, according to sources. It says here, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is dismissing any prospect of a comprehensive auto deal with Canada, according to 3 sources in the room when he made the comments. Lutnick made the comments during a discussion under Chatham House rules at the Eurasia Group's Canada-U.S. Summit in Toronto on Wednesday, one day after the second in-person meeting in Washington between U.S. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Mark Carney. According to the sources, Lutnick said the U.S. could continue buying parts from Canada, but that's about it. The U.S. has had 25% tariffs on all foreign-made autos since April. In the case of Canadian auto exports, for those that comply with the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement, the levies apply to the non-American components. Those levies are stacked on a slate of other tariffs on Canadian goods, including all goods that are not CUSMA compliant, as well as sectoral tariffs on steel, aluminum, and copper. Canada also has countermeasures in place, including 25% on autos that are not covered by CUSMA. Lutnick also said Canada should come second to the U.S. on autos. But then Trump said in the White House, he said, we want Canada to do great, but there's also a point at which the 2 countries want the same business. So we'll just take it all because America first. It's actually not in the best interest of the United States to do that, because they'll kill the Canadian market. They actually will shrink their market. The current trade deal is really set up to make sure that we're producing vehicles for Canada with American and Canadian and multinational companies so that it becomes mutually beneficial for both countries, that it isn't a zero-sum game. But that's how the Trump administration views these things. Also, with regard to all of that, there's this whole thing with soybeans that a lot of people are not aware of, and Argentina. So as I understand the story, Trump imposes these huge tariffs on China. Let me see if I can find it. Argentina, U.S. bailout, $20 billion, I think. China has gone from being, they purchased it's actually not that complicated. I don't even need the story. But China would normally purchase about 60% of all of its soybeans from the United States. And here it is here. Yeah, look at this. Anyway, China has purchased 0 this year, 0 from the U.S. Hang on. Flash sale. We don't want to buy anything because we can't afford it because we've all lost our jobs because of Trump's tariff tantrum. Farmers struggle under Trump's tariffs, but he has a plan to save Argentina. This is an opinion piece, but the information is all in here. Yeah, make Argentina greater again. American farmers struggling are in the middle of an annual soybean harvest. In 2024, American soybeans were nearly a $25 billion export, with China as the top importer, spending $12.6 billion of all that. And now, because of the tariffs, China has purchased 0 American soybeans. This is killing jobs, killing soybean farmers in the U.S. side, and that's because of Argentina. So what has China been doing? They've been going to Argentina and purchasing their soybeans there. And Argentina's like, yeah, we'll sell them to you. China bought a quarter of Argentina's soybean crop, 7 million metric tons. And they got a good deal because Argentina has suspended export taxes on their soybean purchases for China. Meanwhile, Argentina's economy sucks. The dollar is in trouble. They need to slowly devalue it to become as competitive vis-a-vis the world market. And that's putting them financially in a very difficult spot. But you know who's best buds with President Javier Milei of Argentina? He's a fairly new right-wing president for Argentina. Well, his best bud is Donald Trump. That is right. So Trump, this was here. Yeah, a journalist at the UN asked the U.S. president, when was that? This was back in September. September 23rd, if he would bail out Argentina, and Trump answered he didn't think that would be necessary since he thought Milei was doing a fantastic job. And then 24 hours later, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who also met with the president of Argentina and Trump at the UN, announced on social media the very next day, we stand ready to do what is needed to support Argentina, and that included a $20 billion swap line, essentially a bailout, because they're going bankrupt over there. Then they turned around, used that bailout to bolster the finances of the federal government in Argentina. That put them in a better position so that they could offer the export tax cut to benefit China. Just, you can't make this stuff up. This is how stupid the economic policies are right now coming out of the White House. Sorry, that's editorializing. It's funny. It is. And the money is just off the charts. It's just absurd. It's just grotesque. U.S. soybean farmers have been clear for months. The administration needs to secure a deal, it says here, with China. China is the world's biggest soybean customer and typically our top export model. This is from Ragland, Caleb Ragland, a Kentucky soybean farmer, quoted in this USA Today article. The U.S. has made zero sales to China in this new crop marketing year due to the 20% retaliatory tariffs imposed by China in response to U.S. tariffs on China. It's like, let's go have a trade war, and fight with these guys and screw up the economy, and then we'll give money to Argentina. American Soybean Association just days ago pointed to opposition among Democrats in the U.S. Senate to the $20 billion bailout for Argentina. We'll give Javier $20 billion. That's good. $20 billion. And Canada, we're going to take all your auto plants. Screw you. But you're going to buy our jets or else. Okay, man. Whatever you say. Elbows up. Okay. If you have them. It's too much. Oh, man. Just see, that's real. That's absolutely real. Everything else is fake. Tiny little hands, stubby little arms, but he actually, if you look closely, he actually still has little elbows too. Just little ones. Just little wee ones. Let's take a break. I'll come back. The insanity continues.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Today, Trump hosted a roundtable discussion on Antifa. now designated, I think, as a terrorist organization. And people, the pro-MAGA folks, they're all pretty happy about it because they now have the weight of the White House behind their anger and hatred for Antifa. And, these protesters, they've been pretty violent. Not a big fan of Antifa. Don't like their tactics. I've called them many times. As much as they say they're anti-fascist, I've said they are very much they are the fascists, or they are fascists themselves. They use the same. They're just full of just as much anger and violent behavior. It's terrible. So today, they basically were waging one element of the war against Antifa in this round table. Let's just bring it up here. We'll start off with the president. First of all, his opening remarks on this thing with Antifa. And some of the stuff again just goes off into the land of manufactured reality. Not all of it. There's got to be some truth in there.
Much. I was just dealing with people from the Middle East, Arab people and other people on the potential peace deal for the Middle East. Peace for the Middle East. It's a beautiful phrase, and we hope it's going to come true, but it's very close. And they're doing very well. We have a great team over there, great negotiators. And
we'll come back to this.
Unfortunately, great negotiators on the other side also. But it's something I think that will happen, got a good chance of happening. I may go there sometime toward the end of the week.
To survey the new real estate.
Maybe on
for the
Sunday,
new Riviera of the Middle East.
And we'll see, but there's a very good chance negotiations are going along very well. We're dealing with Hamas and many of the countries. As you know, we have all of the Muslim countries are included. All of the Arab countries are included. Very rich countries and some that are not so rich, but just about everybody's included. It's never happened before. Nothing like that's happened before. And our final negotiation, as you know, is with Hamas. And it seems to be going well. So we'll let you know. If that's the case, we'll be leaving probably on Sunday, maybe Saturday, maybe a little.
What happened to the whole thing? You don't negotiate
later
with
than
terrorists.
Saturday evening, but that seems to be our schedule.
It
should be clear to all Americans that we have a very serious left-wing terror threat in our country. Radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law. In Chicago, anarchists have surveilled at least 4 local ICE facilities and posted diagrams of the buildings online, meaning nothing but bad, accompanied by photos of specific ICE agents that they're targeting, one in particular who's a top person and a great patriot. In July, approximately a dozen Antifa-aligned militants stormed the ICE facility in Texas and then lured officers out of the building before firing dozens of rounds at police. They were crazy, frankly, shooting one Texas officer in the neck. And in Portland, Oregon, Antifa thugs have repeatedly attacked our officers and laid siege to federal property in an attempt to violently stop the execution of federal law. Everything we're doing is very lawful. What they're doing is not lawful. And what the governor and the mayor of, as an example, you could say of Portland, and you can say certainly of Chicago, it's not lawful what they're doing. They have to be very careful.
That's, I'm not a big fan of violence at all. I don't like protests getting violent. I don't like I don't like to see these things deteriorate where people are breaking the law. What Trump is saying there, though, is like what they're doing is unlawful. What we're doing is lawful. But you have to remember that Trump is, in many respects, now the law. He is the law, so he has the power to designate an entire group as a terrorist organization. It maybe just because they're on the opposite side politically. Are they violent? Yeah. Does it warrant terrorist designation? You can assess for yourself, but he has that power. And then on the other side, he's bringing his muscle. Now he doesn't even have to rely on counter protesters to show up. He has the National Guard. He has troops. He has the U.S. military. He has his Sharpie to sign executive orders. He can just open his mouth and say, "You're a terrorist and you have no rights." He can throw you in the slammer. Is it justified? Some people are concerned. I'm concerned. I don't even live in the U.S. That stuff tends to bleed over the border into our country. U.S. politics, we tend to import a lot of our politics. I think we tend to import a lot of our problems from the U.S. That is the truth. We do, because we watch so much American media, always have, because we're just exposed to so much of it. People in Canada are very confused even about whether we have a constitution. And when we talk about things, we legal things, political things, even this Constitution of Canada, people get confused and they think that they use American examples in law instead of what we actually have to work with up here. It isn't too hard to trick a lot of Canadians on legal issues like the issue of terrorism. Who's a terrorist? Who isn't? Well, Nick Sorter, the conservative activist that we showed you just yesterday. Do I have that video? I'll see if I've got it here. Where he got arrested. And that was because, here it is here. I've got the footage. I'll preview this for you. So before we get to his comments at the roundtable discussion, I'll show you how he was arrested, what he was arrested for. Well, this wasn't the only thing. He also walked into this tent on a sidewalk in Portland where these protesters were. Oh, come on. Computer is sluggish. I'm looking for it. Where'd you go? Here we are. It's not displaying the video. Tell you what. Let me take a little break. Let the computer catch up. And we'll continue on the other side of this. Stay with me.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay. Here's what happened with Nick Sorter. One of the things that happened Nick Sorter.
We got a Trump supporter. We got a Trump supporter right here.
Oh, he's putting it on the ground and he's making it worse. And now he's standing on it. Motherfucker. Now he's standing on it. You're not supposed to stand on it. Oh, now I think he's saving it. Your flames.
So there was that. He, yeah, I get it. I don't like that. I don't like the flag burnings. He got arrested when he walked into that tent, that little portable gazebo on the sidewalk. He intentionally walked in there, as we've seen many times before. I laid that out, the various sides of the issue, and then you can, again, assess any way you want. But he did go looking for trouble, no question about it. Was it justified, proper? I don't do stuff like that. Here he is testifying at the Antifa round table today.
Years now. So thank you guys so much for taking this seriously. And President Trump, you mentioned that flag. So remember, you put out a truth right after
that's right. I saw that.
Took this flag from that man that was burning it in the street.
Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, I know exactly who it is.
So why don't you give it to Pam? Give it to the Attorney General, and let's start prosecutions.
Yeah, I actually have a second flag that he tried to burn as well. So I have two of them from the same guy.
You also saw what happened when that flag started burning. Everyone went crazy, and that's when it started, when they started burning the flag. So thank you. If you could give the information, it would be great.
Absolutely.
And at least that horrible night made you famous. Right? You got something
I got a text from the President of the United States, so I appreciate that.
Okay, let me.
So I don't know, man. See, now politically, Trump has control of the institutions, the organizations. He has, a lot of control, not entirely over the courts, but certainly over police agencies, National Guard. He has the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, in his back pocket. She does whatever he wants her to do. He's sitting there telling, why don't you go lay charges? Go lay, in Canada, the Prime Minister does not direct police. It's a no-no. A premier, even a mayor of a city, you do not direct police. You can ask, I guess, for investigations, but anything you do with regard to those things, you need to be very, very careful, because you can cross that line. You are supposed to leave investigations up to police and let it proceed from an apolitical perspective so that justice can be blind. But right here, Trump is saying, here, Attorney General, go arrest that guy. No, okay, because a journalist said this. The Attorney General, more appropriate for the Attorney General, I think, to say, let's do an investigation. And then turn the investigation over to competent, real investigators. But I don't know. I get nervous when I see the head, like a president, a prime minister, a premier, a senator, political people demanding that people be arrested. That's what's going on, because Trump has purged political enemies from these institutions. He has seized control of all levels of government. And I'll give you one guess. Who did that most famously in history, leading into World War II? Well, I'll just leave it there. I don't want to get too hyperbolic about it. Here's more from the round table. I believe this is Kristi Noem, who was also just recently in Portland. Went to the ICE facility there as well. Witnessed what she witnessed, and has come back now to comment like this.
their funding mechanisms. And sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms and individuals who are perpetuating this violence on our American cities. I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town, and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. While you talked about some of the stories of our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents, how they have been attacked, how they have been shot at, injured, the damage that they've done, these leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up. We have arrested dozens of individuals that are Antifa members or affiliated with them, and I want to thank our Attorney General for prosecuting them and making sure they never see the light of day again. They have been so bold in making sure we're bringing those individuals to justice. One of the individuals we arrested recently in Portland was the girlfriend of one of the founders of Antifa, and that we are hoping that as we go after her, interview her, and prosecute her, we will get more and more information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence of American society. I want to thank the new journalists here today for telling their stories and for being able and willing to go to the streets and to cover what's happening here in America. Many times the legacy media has looked the other way, refused to tell the stories. The networks have not really focused on what this is and what damage it is doing to our country, and how this network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years. And today is the day that we have a president that won't tolerate it and will stand up and fight for the American people. So thank you for being here, for being so bold, and for standing in the gap at such a time as this. It will matter. It will make a difference, and your life will be one of significance because of what you've done today. So with that, God bless you, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Isn't that an interesting choice of words? At such a time as this. That's a religious phrase. At such a time as this. Very political. And that word insurrectionists keeps coming up. It's an insurrection. And that's what the J6ers were accused of. Now Trump's turning the tables. It's pretty clear he's out for revenge. Oh, yeah, he's out for revenge, man. 100%. Is it justified? Probably not. Not to this level. Was what they did to him justified? I don't know. I don't know. You can make up your own mind, man. But that's what this is. That's one of the things Doge has been about too. That's why I keep calling it the Department of Getting Even. Oh, it's this is terrible.
Thank you. Cash, please.
Well, here's the
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the American people gave you a sweeping mandate in your victory in this election cycle, and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your leadership, has provided us with the resources that we need, which is a whole of government approach to go after criminals absolutely everywhere, not just outside of this country, but within this country. And that takes a whole of government approach. The interagency seated up here with the Department of Homeland Security, our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, and your White House staffers, and including Stephen Miller's leadership, has allowed us to go out there and map out these networks. What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming everyday citizens in every single one of our communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live time because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're putting their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag. The least we can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities. which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or...
Oops. I lost it. Hang on. Let me just bring it back. I want him to finish. That's heavy-duty language from the FBI director. Like, we are going to crush you. Well, okay. This is what a lot of people voted for, I guess.
From whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is, it will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you.
Thank you very much, Cash. Great job. Maybe we'll start over here. Would any of you like to say something? Feel free. You can say it in front of a fine group of people, also journalists and reporters. You want to start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. President Trump.
Okay. We already heard from him. I understand. At the same time, how you do it is important. You need to make sure you don't cross the line and break the law, or else you could end up in trouble down the road too. Case in point, James Comey. What was his thing today? He says, he pled not guilty, and says that he is vindictive prosecution, I think, was the defense that he's going to be employing as Trump goes after him. Basically, he's saying exactly what I said. Trump is just looking for revenge, and as a result, now he's up on charges that he says he's not guilty of. Charged him with the president's repeated calls for investigations of his political opponents. NBC. Former FBI Director James Comey pleaded not guilty at his arraignment in federal court today on charges brought after a public campaign by President Donald Trump to prosecute him. Oh, man, it's nasty down there. Comey's attorney, Patrick Fitzgerald, waived a reading of the indictment and asked for a jury trial during the brief court appearance. They indicted Comey last month. And then Trump fired him during his first term in office on 2 charges, making a false statement and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. No love lost between those 2 guys. And now, what was that phrase that Trump has used? I was the hunted, now I'm the hunter. And now in Comey's case, he was the hunter, now he's the hunted. That's U.S. politics, baby. Let's be the 51st state. No thanks. Very much like a banana republic these days, with this democracy, rule of law, civil discourse. It's all just about gone on the U.S. side. And then these strikes on these boats off the coast, and even, I think, within Venezuelan waters, and these travelers, they're floating now about maybe invading or going after narco-terrorists on Venezuelan soil, which would violate Venezuelan sovereignty. As I indicated before, I think there's some group of lawyers on the U.S. side that is actually using the word murder to describe what the Trump administration, the military is doing by blowing up these narco-terrorist boats. And here in this is one of several articles making reference to the same information. This is on Al Jazeera. U.S. military's recent strikes on boats allegedly transporting drugs near the Venezuelan coast have raised questions about the legality of such actions and heightened fears of a military escalation in the region. In the latest attack Friday, at least 4 people were killed, so that's the 4th boat, taking the death toll to 21. 21 people just blown out of the water. No, they don't arrest them anymore. They just blow them up. Marco Rubio, when he was on the Sunday talk show circuit, basically just saying that we used to interdict them. I think that was his word. Now we just stop them. Translation? Yeah, we're just going to kill them. U.S. President Trump has declared drug cartels to be unlawful combatants and determined that the United States is in a non-international armed conflict with them. Armed conflict. It's the U.S. Navy versus boats with outboard motors. They don't get close enough to let them shoot at them. They just nuke them. Well, they don't use nukes. But they're using drones and fighter jets to just launch missiles or bombs or whatever they're using, just blow up the boats, as you've seen. Is that legal in international waters? No arrests, no trial. Any evidence that may have been on the boats obliterated. It's gone to the bottom of the ocean if it wasn't completely incinerated. In the past several weeks, the Trump administration has deployed warships in the Caribbean to target boats that it says are involved in narco trafficking, ratcheting up military and political pressure against Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, who has condemned the U.S. aggression against his country. And you're seeing Maduro is getting his whatever forces he has to stand against the Americans, if necessary, ready in case there is an invasion. So he's afraid of it. Is he a legitimate president, Maduro? I don't know. There are all these allegations that he stole the election, but he's a communist. Trump hates communists. The MAGA people hate communists. Is it reality or is it just a manufactured pretext? I'm not there, wasn't there for the election. I just have to take whatever information we can get online, through the media, and then make an assessment from that. The majority of people with something like that are going to side with the Americans and say, oh yeah, he's not legitimate. I've been more inclined to do that in the past than I am these days, questioning things much more vigorously when it comes to any of this kind of stuff. I think that's healthy, frankly. Not that I want to get into conspiracies, but the truth of the matter is Trump perpetuates conspiracy theories through this administration. You're seeing it all the time. And you're seeing the information war transpire, even up here in Canada, as I've already indicated. They take some truth about Chinese influence, and then they expand on it and make it seem much worse than it is. Or the drug problem. It's like there are drugs. Of course, every country has a drug problem. Now it's a huge problem. Carney playing along, though, saying, yeah, you're right, Mr. President. We do have a drug problem, but look at what we've done to combat it. And in a way, it's just brilliant because he acknowledges the sort of the exaggerated truth that Trump puts out there, but then plays along and then takes this manufactured reality and twists it around and says, yeah, but look at the great job we've done in fixing that fake problem, without calling it fake. And then Trump acknowledges back, yes, you have done a good job. And now it's nixed largely the justification that the Trump administration might have sometime down the road, maybe to invade us up here in Canada. And that's all it took. So now that being said, then Lutnick goes into a meeting, says, we're taking the auto industry anyway. So there's still more work to be done. Nervous? You betcha I'm nervous, especially when I see what's going on in other countries around the world with, I'd say there's the good USA and the dark, the dark side. What we're witnessing right now, I think, is largely the dark side, because I think even Trump himself has been sucked down into a rabbit hole that is very, very dark indeed. And he's so far down in there that a lot of these lies, misconceptions, manufactured truths. I think he's buying into them himself. I think even he has come to believe, as many people, this is the nastiest, dirtiest, most insidious part of telling a lie like this, or telling lies like this, is it actually comes around, and pretty soon even the people telling the lies begin to believe them themselves. And what is even scarier is that now you have people in power, with real power, who are believing their own lies. This lady here, for instance, it now believes that if you get rid of your Trump derangement syndrome, it actually makes you sexier.
I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years. This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS. I'm happier, I'm healthier, more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump derangement syndrome. Yes. You know, I'm a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not here to convince any of you that Antifa is a real thing, because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion, because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw, after all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually.
Okay. He is funny sometimes. And there is truth in what she's saying. I've never thought Antifa was never a real thing. I've had conversations with people, some people close to me too, good friends and others, just early on. And certainly during the first Trump administration, where they're like, oh, no, what are you talking about? Antifa isn't even a real thing. I'm like, I don't know. I think they're pretty real, because they're punching people in the head. It's like, and there was umbrellas out, and they've got pointy ends on them, and there's a whole crap load of them. They all dressed in black. They look pretty coordinated, maybe even funded. And they're all showing up on buses together. Like, they're not a real thing. Look pretty real. Yeah, I always thought they were a real thing. I never said they weren't, even as some politicians were using the PSYOP techniques on the other side, doing the same thing, spinning up a lie, saying Antifa is not even a real thing. You don't have to worry about them. Doesn't exist. Even as right before your very eyes, it's like, yeah, I see something. Oh, no, they're not real. Oh, I guess they're just a random group of people. Oh, look, they all just decided to wear the same things today, and they all have masks on the same. Like, no, they're real. Now, with regard to whether she's sexier or hotter or more attractive than she was before, I can't say. I've never seen her before. I don't know her, and I haven't seen her prior reports. So I don't know if she was like really ugly before and, different now. I can't say. I guess you'd have to go back into the archives online for whatever station she works for or media outlet, and then you can decide whether, I don't know what her name is. Is there a name up there on her thing? It's blurred out. I don't know what her name is. I think I'm more attractive, and you're funnier. Yeah, okay. The truth, but the problem is nobody knows what the hell reality is anymore. What is the truth? Is anything we even think anymore even real? I don't know. It's pretty sick, actually. It's pretty sick. Okay, we're going to come back, and I have to find a clip, and I'll search for that while you guys watch these things.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best
your bedroom feel large. Turn easy bed, spin your world around. Storage made it simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
Rubio went into that meeting, the roundtable discussion, Marco Rubio on Antifa, and called Trump away. Here's how it went down. I draw your attention to it in this way for a couple of reasons. The reason he pulled him away, we're told, is because there were new developments in the negotiations to bring peace to the Middle East in Gaza.
Criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I'm just giving. I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly. So I will take a couple of more questions.
Criminal conspiracy.
So, I mean, you could say that's a positive thing. Hopefully we get peace. But Rubio on the weekend talk show circuit used a phrase when referring to the kind of governance structure that might end up in place if a deal is struck. And he used technocrats, a technocrat government or governance system. And this is a phrase that has really just emerged as something being used fairly commonly now to talk about what is coming or could be coming in Palestine. Even if you go back here, and this is going back to February of last year, current Palestinian government set to resign on Tuesday. New technocrat government to be formed, headed by Dr. Mohammad Mustafa as incoming prime minister. Mustafa is a current member of the PLO Executive Committee. He is an independent and not part of any political group. He's held multiple leadership roles as deputy prime minister, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I just draw your attention to it because we had this whole conversation about technocrats, technocracy, the ideology, the philosophy behind it, its roots in the USA and in Canada. Elon Musk's grandfather, maternal grandfather in Saskatchewan, was an advocate of a technocracy. He was actually arrested when the Canadian government at that time outlawed the political group behind it. I wrote a Substack about this. I'm just going to go through the information in the Substack because there's more going on there, I think, than meets the eye. Our previous discussion about technocracy as an ideology, the movement behind it, it's been around for a long time. And when they start using this phrase, and Ian messaged me and said, isn't it interesting that that Rubio used that phrase, which we ran on this program over the weekend on Sunday, and I took note of it as well. But it's a term that is coming up, and this is the kind of government they want to put in place as part of the peace deal in the Middle East. So what we have here is Trump, new 20-point peace plan for Gaza, and it paints an ambitious picture. He's talked about the Riviera of the Middle East, and it's a new 20-point peace plan for Gaza. And I don't think it's going to hold, to be quite honest. So this concept of rule by experts or a technocracy dates back more than a century. And it goes back to the early 1900s, to the progressive era. And it started with economist Thorstein Veblen, popularized the idea back in the 1920s in a book called The Engineers and the Price System. He criticized business elites and promoted scientific efficiency. The whole idea is that your government shouldn't be run by a bunch of politicians or elected people. It should just be run by people who are experts in their fields. And it shouldn't be political or affiliated with political parties per se. It's, you have an engineer run your water plant or build it. You have experts in each field. If you have somebody who's an expert in electrical engineering or whatever, then they run your utility company or your utilities. An expert in communications would run your social media and so on. So they've been using this phrase with regard to what's going on in Palestine because that's what they want to put in place. And so this proposal from Trump calls for an immediate ceasefire, the release of all the hostages, and then the transfer of power from Hamas to a technocratic administration. And then under the plan, they would form what they're calling a board of peace, and it would be chaired by Trump himself. Now, he wants to put former Prime Minister for Britain, Tony Blair, on the board as well. Hamas not in favor of that. They don't like that idea. And of course, Trump is going to be the chair of the board because he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. And then they would direct between $20 billion and $60 billion in international aid to go in there to fund the government, restart the economy, start to help rebuild Gaza, and just get the place back on its feet. But that's also going to take huge private sector investment. And so what I see in play here is, in a way, a hybrid technocratic populist government that will be installed there. Nothing democratic. You're not actually giving any sovereignty at this point to Palestine as like its own independent state. So it isn't really a two-state solution. This is governance over Palestine, overseen by an international, or you could even say a globalist government that is controlled really by technocrats and oligarchs, making it a hybrid populist type of government. And then everyone thinks that the New World Order is coming directly from the WEF. Not entirely, not really. That's actually the Old World government, which was the New World government that came about, from the neocons and the liberal social order following World War II. This is the New World Order. This is carving up the world into spheres of dominance. This is a microcosm of all of that, and a trial run for what is a technocratic government. And so Trump's approach here really mirrors his past use of economics as a diplomatic tool, which is exactly what he's doing with Mexico, Canada, all these countries where he is using tariffs to leverage to get leverage, to get whatever he wants politically or economically from other countries. So he can then use the money to leverage influence within the area, all of the investment funds. And in the process of doing that, I'm not even sure if it's legal for him to sit on that board and just oversee all of this while he's president of the United States. There would be a conflict of interest, really, in many respects, especially for a America First president who says that he doesn't want to be involved in other wars and other foreign governments, and yet he's going to sit on the board, be the chair of the board, overseeing what is essentially a government for what's supposed to be a separate nation, a separate state, not necessarily a nation state, in Palestine. So where's his loyalty going to lie, especially if any Trump affiliated businesses or straight up Trump businesses become involved in investments to rebuild Gaza, which he has stated publicly he wants to own, maybe as the United States, or maybe he means as one of the oligarchs that would be investing in this, one of the super wealthy elite oligarchs. And this Riviera branding, I mean, it just echoes his 2020 deal of the century rhetoric, which emphasized investment in infrastructure over Palestinian statehood. And that's really where this deal is taking us. So if this plan succeeds, it could create a lot of jobs, living conditions, maybe even bring stability to Gaza. But does this also involve maybe deporting a lot of these people from Gaza, the place where they've lived, or not? I'm not sure. He's even talked about having them move so they could build this wonderful Riviera of the Middle East. So the talks there still ongoing in Cairo, and Hamas is insistent on a complete Israeli withdrawal before any reconstruction begins. It's a 20-point plan. I don't think it's going to hold, because at the end of the day, they're also asking Hamas to disarm, to hand over all the power, basically dismantle Hamas voluntarily, to turn over to what? It's not a Palestinian government. There's no government there to hand it over to. That's what they're justifying this through, is they're saying that there is no government in place or any political organization they can actually hand power to at this point, because even the Palestinian Authority is not in a position to actually govern. So they'll do it with this Board of Peace, and they're calling it transitional, but I'm not sure how transitional it will actually be. Once they grab a hold, you get all this foreign investment flowing in there to rebuild the whole place. You have all these foreign interests. All those investments may bring economic stability. It might actually end up being better, but talk about a recipe for corruption. This is it. And the reason it will remain stable is because all those super wealthy elite people won't want their investments blown up. So they'll go to great lengths to make sure it doesn't happen. But they're going to want the payback. It's an investment for anybody putting the money in there. So right now, the whole thing, very much a gamble. We'll see where it goes. It's in some respects a power play by Trump. In another way, it's I think a prelude to a trial run for a technocratic style of government, which is not democratic. It's very globalist in its ideals. It's all designed. The whole structure is based on efficiency, energy efficiency, a restructured economy, everything about it. And the roots, as we explained in our examination of technocracies or technocratic ideology before, paints, I think, kind of a scary picture, because it just ignores it. It gets rid of democracy. And a lot of people I see right now, having lost faith in our institutions and our governments, have lost faith in democracy itself. A lot of people don't want it. They feel like they can't win an election. So they just don't want any part of it anymore. They're quite happy to see democracy go out the window, what they call for freedom. But I don't think this is actual freedom. This is something new, a new form of oppression, perhaps, or maybe it's a new form of liberation. Since we haven't had a government quite like this ever before, it would be an experiment. But hey, with Donald Trump as the chair, what could go wrong? It all depends on big investments from outside, either through governments or wealthy private interests. And quite possibly, as I say, a new class of global oligarchs. Trump minting a whole new breed of ultra super wealthy oligarchs. Think about it. Where are we at today? There's so much disparity in income levels that at one end of the spectrum, you have people living in tents. And at the other end of the spectrum, you have people like Jeff Bezos, who flies around in literally a dildo-shaped spaceship. Talk about a midlife crisis. God. That's where we're at tonight. This is where we are at tonight. Here we go. On this October 8th, 2025. Life is so freaking weird right now. But it's funny. At least we can find some humor in it, right? Hang on a second here. I need to queue up tonight's closing song for you if the computer will cooperate. And what would be more appropriate than this? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what reality is anymore. So here's Maverick and the News Brothers with It's All Fake. And I will see you back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side, elbows up if you got them.
Biden's about, Charlie's alive. Elvis flips burgers on the Lower East Side. 10 Trumps mask up on your phone. Shilling mean coins by remote drone. Graphene needles in your veins. Chemtrail sugar fries your brain. George Floyd's American hologram pie. Don't trust your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake. The moon is a hoax. Give your head a shake. It's all fake. It's all fake. Your mama's a lizard. Your daddy's a snake. Bigfoot codes, the Mossad plan. Flat Earth truckers fighting the man. Dinosaurs guard an empty fed vault. Truth is dead and it's the media's fault. Conspiracies are real, let it sink in. Time travel, JFK is president again. 9/11's a VR game. The elite cut deals in the devil's name. It's all fake. It's all fake. From the jab to the pills that you take. It's all fake. It's all fake. The Pope's in a bunker with Q as his mate. Your phone's a snitch. Your dog's AI. The king eats penguins in conspiracy pie. JFK Jr., Cobain, and Tupac. They ain't dead. They're all coming back. It's all fake. It's all fake. Every headline, every handshake. It's all fake. It's all fake. FBI, CIA, KGB, ABC. Are you awake? Don't believe your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.